Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. It is late Friday night, long day, but I had to talk about this. The Rolling Stones have dropped a bomb on us. They have recorded and released a new single, and we need our local New Orleans legend David Kunsley to pronounce this. This is called Zydeco Sont pas salé. I sorry if I massacred this. David, you got to help us out. But this is the Stones' new single. It's a tribute to the King of Zydeco, Clifton Chenier. Had no idea this was coming. Had no idea the Stones were working on it. And it's actually a pretty interesting story. You can see the background back there. It's a new album, and this is going to be the lead-off track on it. So basically, Clifton Chenier, legendary Zydeco player, he turns 100, even though he passed away, unfortunately, decades ago, actually. But they're celebrating his life as the King of Zydeco, and this is the Stones tribute. Man, this is a unique, fascinating slice of Americana roots music, and the Stones have always been huge on that, even dating back to the 60s. So how'd this come about? Well, a famous local Lafayette, Louisiana guitarist, producer, C. Adcock. I guess he's known to a lot of the famous musicians when they tour New Orleans or Louisiana. And Adcock had befriended Mick Jagger, Charlie Watts to a certain extent as well. So when Jagger and the Stones would play in New Orleans or Louisiana, well, they would meet up with Adcock. He'd show them the town, take Jagger, especially Jagger, Watts as well, to some clubs, down-home places, hear the authentic music. And that's what Jagger loves. You know, Jagger always has this reputation. Keith is all about the music, Mick's all about the business. And that's all bullshit, man. Because Jagger is really a musicologist, and it's in his bones. You ever hear somebody who watched Jagger record, and he does Mick Jagger even though there's nobody there? It's not an act. That's how he does it. It's all in his blood. And he loves this music even since the 60s. So anyway, Adcock befriends Jagger, and they get to know each other. And whenever the Stones play New Orleans or Louisiana, they hang out and they go to places. Jagger's not the only one. Even his brother Chris is really into this kind of music for decades. And in fact, Chris Jagger records this kind of music. There's one called Atcha. The first song on here is Blow the Zydeco. And I can't even pronounce some of these. Alaza, Juliet. These are really good Chris Jagger albums, if you never heard any of these. These are really fine albums. And so he's also really into this kind of music. Here's another one, Channel Fever. I totally dig these latter-day Chris Jagger albums, and Mick will guest on them on occasion. Here's another one called All the Best. And but these has a lot of Zydeco in these albums. I thought I would mention that. So the Jaggers love this. Mick also. So anyway, so how did this happen? Oh, in fact, David Kunsley will tell you he had sent me pictures. When the Stones played at the New Orleans Jazz Fest in 2024, they had Dwayne Dopsy join and played accordion on Let It Bleed with the Stones. They totally dig this stuff. Anyway, there's a history there with Mick Jagger and some of the Stones with Zydeco music. Adcock asked Jagger, said, listen, I'm doing a tribute album to the King of Zydeco, Clifton Chenier, for his 100th celebration of his birth. You want to guest on it? And Jagger's like, yeah, they've guested on other things, which I'll show you at the end. And Jagger's like, yeah. So anyway, Adcock sends Jagger a whole bunch of tracks to choose from, and Jagger loves this one, Zydeco Sont pas salé, however you pronounce it. And so Adcock sends a demo that he has done. The music is done. He did it with Steve Riley, right there, featuring Steve Riley, and other legendary Lafayette guitarists, musicians that Adcock knows and plays with. They do the demo of this track. They send it off to Jagger. He loves it, and Jagger adds his vocals and his harp, and Jagger sings it. Jagger could speak French or some French, but he sings it in this French Creole, I guess you would say, and it is so genuine. It's so authentic. You could just, it's not an act, man. He's just loving it, Jagger. And it's just great. It's only then that Jagger takes it and he says, maybe we could take this further. Instead of it just being me, he sends the tape with his vocals on it to Keith Richards. And Keith adds his electric guitar, which is a bit unusual for Zydeco music. And in fact, when you listen to the track, it starts off with the drum. The next thing you hear, within a few seconds, you hear Keith really wonderful, raw electric guitar, total Stones-like. And it's way up front, and it's at the beginning of the song. Really unusual, again, for Zydeco music. You wouldn't think it works, but it really does. It's just great. He then sends it to Ronnie Wood to add some additional guitars. Ronnie's in London. He adds some stuff. I really couldn't tell you what parts that he added. I don't know if it's significant. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But he's on there, and voila, this track really does sound like the Rolling Stones. Because initially I was like, it's a cheat. The bedrock of the song was done. Jag adds his vocals and harp. Keith adds some guitar. But because of Keith's guitar especially, it really does sound like the Rolling Stones. So, you know, when the Stones played, added to the Chieftains album, the Long Black Veil, you know, that was a really good touch. They did the Rocky Road to Dublin, and Jagger actually does on this the Long Black Veil, which is great. That was a cool thing that they did back in the day. And then, you know, Mick and Keith were on this Jimmy Rogers All-Stars, Blues, Blues, Blues. But in this case, Mick and Keith are on a couple of the songs. You could see it right there. But they didn't call it the Rolling Stones, even though it was Mick and Keith. Trouble No More. There's a bunch of them. Don't Stop Me Talking. It's a good record. This one they call the Rolling Stones. And when I first saw it, I was like, man, that's a cheat. It's really not the Rolling Stones. Well, I got to tell you something. It really is the Rolling Stones. You know, I'm eating my initial words. Because this thing, not only does it sound like the Stones do in Zydeco, it's one of the best Stones songs I've heard in a long time. I can't get enough of listening to this thing. It is that phenomenal. It's great. It's like a party tune. Jagger's amazing on it, but even Keith, man, it works. It just sounds great. And I always said the Stones are the greatest rock and roll band ever because they can play every kind of genre. You know, in their history, you never get bored listening to the Stones because they play through their prism and it sounds like the Stones, but yet it's, you know, it could be hard rock, and it could be funk, and it could be dance, and it could even be electronic, and of course blues, and gospel, and country, and ballads, and dirges. Whatever they play, it's all kinds of genres, but it always sounds like the Stones. And now we could add Zydeco to that. This is phenomenal. The only bummer is I don't know where you get it. I went on Amazon to buy it. I don't see it on Amazon, and I don't know where you're going to get it. So I'm sitting there watching this thing over and over again on YouTube, which is kind of annoying me. I'm not really a streamer. I'm not a streamer. And, yeah, I really want to buy this thing. So this is kind of what it looks like. And I'll tell you something else about the Stones, how humble they are. Because it's the 45, the Stones are on the B side. And the A side is the original version from Clifton Chenier. So, you know, that's pretty cool because it is about Clifton Chenier and it is a celebration of his life. But the Stones version is just, wow. It's awesome. It's the best thing I've heard from the Stones. Well, I really did like Hackney Diamonds. Angry was a killer opening single. But this thing is pretty special. So I'm hoping that if the Stones get around to releasing a new album that supposedly is almost done, almost done, man, pull it back in production and put this thing on there. I want this thing on a Stones album. That's how good it is. Let me know what your thoughts are if you haven't heard it. If you haven't heard it, you got to listen to it. It kicks butt. Great job, Mick and Keith and Ronnie and CC Adcock for doing this. Yeah, well worth getting. I got to get it. Somehow I got to find this thing. Alrighty. Thanks for watching. As always, well, hit subscribe if you're new to my channel. If you like the Rolling Stones, you can't see it back there, but I have a whole Rolling Stones playlist because they're my favorite band. I got tons of Stones videos, so feel free to check them out. Go to playlist, look up Rolling Stones. There's a lot there, and hit subscribe. Anyway, hope you have a good weekend. Thank you, as always, from the Alan Rosenberg Show. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.